guys, Louie here, and no, don't be afraid. I have a dark screen at the moment because I'm looking into the future. All right, come along with me and see if you think what I am predicting will happen in our country, that's the United States, and in other countries, probably even sooner. And this is not a giant leap. This is connecting the dots of how the people in power sustain the current unsustainable system. And it's going to involve you, it's going to involve your family and future generations. And it is, I would call it the path to insanity. I would call it the path to slavery, the path to totalitarianism. But it is where we're headed, so let me connect these dots really quickly for you and see if you disagree. Because if we look out 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I mean, certainly in many of your lifetimes, this is what I think our children and your children's children will experience living in our world. All right, hopefully you're stacking some precious metals and you've already begun on that journey, because I think that is a wise thing to do right now. But this is in regard to the current world system that runs on debt. And it's the greater fool system, that one person produces debt, another greater fool buys that debt and then produces more debt. And as you know, that is expanding with no limits, right? Quantitative easing in all corners of the world right now, meaning that they are flooding the market with both debt and currency, fiat currency. All right, now we know that, and we know over time that this will decrease the value of your currency and increase the value of precious metals, and that's why we stack. So what is happening right now, thing number one, is the madness of low, no, and zero interest rates. I mean, there are literally scenarios right now where people, where institutions are paying another institution to carry debt, right? So that's as if you came up to me and said, "Hey, Louie, loan me $100," and I said, make sure when you pay me back $99, because I really need you to borrow my $100, because I am being rewarded for how much I can lend. Anyway, on down the line, people are being, and institutions are being rewarded for creating and pushing debt. In the society, we will ultimately get to a point where it could very, very possibly be zero interest rate on any consumer loans, zero interest rate on student loans, perhaps zero interest rate on home loans. Okay, you wonder how the property market might keep going up to the sky. Well, at the point they eliminate interest on mortgages, and I just got a 3.25% mortgage myself, but I could see the path down to zero, because that is a huge market for debt. But we could even get to the point where they pay you to buy a house. And, okay, that is the madness of the society we're in. So what will the government do? Okay, let's say that we've gotten to the point where your money in the bank requires that you pay them to keep it. You put $1,000 in the bank, and every year they chip away 1% of that. So, let's say you've got $990 after the first year, $980 the second year, etc. And your money literally atrophies in the bank, trying to encourage you to put it in the stock market, right? Or start a business, or whatever you might do, go out and buy something. That's really what they want you to do, consume. But so that is not sustainable. So you say, well, I'll take my money out of the bank. Well, you will, as long as there is money. So thing number one is the elimination of money. And I don't mean digital money, I mean paper money, coin money. Anything that can be hoarded is going to be eliminated. Now, this goes back to cryptocurrency and why many of us longtime stackers had a visceral reaction to the rise of cryptocurrency, because we knew that in the end, in the future, that is what will be. There will only be digital money. Will it be Bitcoin? Will it be, bit dollar, Fed dollar, etc.? But this is thing number one that's coming. They are going to take our currency away. All right, because they are going to penalize you for not spending it. All right, and if you hoard it, you're outside the system. So they're definitely thing number one. Maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's 30 years, maybe it's 40 years. Plan for currency, physical currency, to disappear. It has to, in order to sustain the system that they've built. So once we've gone to a digital currency, once you're paid digitally and your bank account is populated digitally and you can only spend digitally, then they have the power to basically tax your deposits and force you to spend money or penalize you for saving it. So then you might say, well, what happens next? Because that looks predictable. Well, they are very slowly but certainly going to eliminate the ownership of assets that are outside the digital system. So in the future, I do think that they are going to prohibit the ownership of gold and possibly silver as well, and possibly all precious metals. I think it's as easy as passing a law. Now, first, I believe that as we get out 10, 20, 30, 40 years, well, they will ramp up the taxes and the capital gains and the LCS reporting requirements. But there will certainly first be an increase in taxes, right, to sales taxes, VAT taxes, as you purchase precious metals, if you're not doing it person to person. But after the taxation fails to work, because currency is going to continue to devalue in the future, in my opinion, at a very rapid pace. It almost has to. I don't know how it could be avoided. So precious metals are going to increase in value at a very rapid pace. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I do believe it's coming. So in order to keep people from avoiding the new system, they're going to have to eliminate. They're going to have to maybe confiscate. Now, I don't know that confiscation is necessary because the dollar is not backed to gold, so it doesn't require confiscation to erode the value of the dollar any longer. But they can make it illegal, and that can happen with the stroke of a pen. Up in Washington, it could happen in your country. It might not even take an act of Congress to do so if you live in a more highly socialized environment. And poof, your ability to go outside the system will diminish, right? They will want your gold and silver. They will make it illegal to trade it, or if you do so, it will be with stiff consequences. So thing number two that's coming 20, 30, 40 years is the ability to escape the system. Now, we have a window here, which I think we can definitely take advantage of, because if you're listening to this, you're thinking about what's going on, you're worried about what's going on, you want to protect your family from what's going on, you want to preserve your wealth and pass it down. So there is a window. It's possibly even a narrow window where we can build our stockpiles of silver and gold and other metals. But in the future, I don't think they're going to leave that loophole open. Thing number three. Once the new paradigm is set, and of course this is moving us closer and closer to, what do they call it, a managed society. I think we will be managed possibly even worldwide. Did you know that the European Union is building an army? That's the craziest thing I ever heard, that anyone would want to relinquish their rights to their own personal protection to a world organization. But I digress. Thing number 3, after they've locked us into the digital financial system and they've eliminated our ability to escape by buying hard assets, thing number 3 is they're going to be managing us. Okay, now I'm going out into the future. Now, this is already happening in China, but this has to do with social media, and it has to do with the system's ability to control your actions. All right, once they've got your money and they've got your you locked into the system, now they are going to want to control you. How are they going to do that? Well, whatever social media is in the future, and I don't know if it's Facebook, I don't know if it's LinkedIn, I don't know if it's Amazon 2.0, but they are going to start rating you. They are going to start controlling you by virtue of your actions. And they do this in China now. So if you are somebody that goes to work every day, puts your digital money in the bank, buys a new car every 3 years, spends unlimited amounts of money, entertaining, etc. If you're a consumer and you act right and spend your money right and buy the things that they want you to buy, watch the right commercials, fall in line with environmentally sensitive issues and other politically important issues, socially important issues, you're going to get a rating. You're going to get a rating that labels you a good consumer, a good citizen. You are going to be the person that they want the country made up of because you do what they want, and you do what you're told, and you do what someone somewhere in a central planning bureau thinks is beneficial to the society. However, if you're someone that thinks outside of the system, if you're someone that does not conform, if you're someone that does not trust government, if you're someone that does not agree with the new socially acceptable norms, you're going to start to be penalized. All right? If you put your money in the bank, your rating, your socially conscious rating is going to be knocked. If you don't spend your money, you are going to be downgraded again. If you default on paying back your debt, you're going to be rated more poorly again. If you're arrested, you're going to be rated more poorly again. And each individual in society is going to have a rating on how good a system they are. Certainly, if you're someone who is, involved in alternate lifestyles, self-sustainability, exiting the system, making videos on YouTube, trying to encourage people to fight back, you're going to be ostracized. You're going to be labeled a radical. You might be labeled a racist. You might be labeled, a degenerate if you're someone that believes in free speech other than the free speech that the government wants you to speak. You will be devalued digitally. That means that when you need to buy a car, or you go to the grocery store, or you interview for a job, or you're even on a dating site, looking for a mate, you're not going to look so popular digitally. You are going to be penalized for being you. This is the last thing I see coming, and perhaps it's the new communism, the new socialism, the new totalitarianism, and the new politically correct way to be. But this is the future. This is why some of us were slow to adopt social media as well. Personal, freedom is diminishing. Privacy is diminishing. There's so little privacy anymore. Have you seen how hard Facebook and Google and all social media is working to identify you? Many of us that have emails and have YouTube accounts and believe in free speech work really hard at keeping our identities private. That's becoming harder and harder. And of course, the shadow banding of thoughts and ideas on social media is getting more prevalent. And, the big corporations like the Starbucks of the world believe that, there's free speech, and then there's speech that they're willing to support. And since everything is commercialized and everything draws a profit, these companies that will ultimately be the rulers of the world, right? The corporations are what will be fighting for control of the world, probably with the support of the World Trade Organizations. They only want to reward one thing, and that is those things that bring people to them to consume their goods, services, and ideas. So I'm going to wrap it here, but a little food for thought, a little look into the future. So people often say this system is unsustainable, but yet, you know what is really critical? Not many people are saying it. Yes, we are saying it, we're yelling it, we're shouting it, but how many people are in the silver stacking community? 20,000 out of billions of people on this planet? We are a small voice, and someday we will be crushed like a bug. How will you react? How will you protect? What will you teach your children? And they're not so teachable anymore. That's what I've noticed. What do you think the future will hold? Do you think I'm wrong? Am I looking too far into the future? Is this a scary thought? Or is this a wacky tinfoil thought? But that's my prediction. Okay, I would love to hear your thoughts about this subject. Maybe other people have different ideas. It could go a different way. There could be a total meltdown. Gold and silver could be the new basis for trade. But there are many, many powerful people that don't want that. What do you think?